A convicted murderer and sex offender who happened to be the former police chief of a small town in Arkansas had just escaped from the North Central Unit, which is in Calico Rock, Arkansas, a prison I had done time in. I'll tell you about it here in just a second. Hello, welcome to Convict Inc. My name is Robert Rosso. I'm the host of the show. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please do so. If you like this video, please push like and help the channel out. Grant Harden. This guy was a police chief of a small town called Gateway up by Benton. This is in the northwestern corner of Arkansas. In 2017, he shot and killed a man, was convicted of 30 years for the murder of that charge. By the way, that's not an unreasonable sentence for that crime in the state of Arkansas. Now, in 2019, because of the DNA that he took while incarcerated, he popped up on a database and comes to find out this guy was a rapo as well. In 1997, so 20 years before the unaliving, he raped sexually assaulted a teacher in Arkansas. This guy worked at 4 different law enforcement agencies. And like I said, he was a chief of a small town. I've been watching people who knew him. Now, you usually hear if this guy, if something bad happened to him, he would have been a great guy. If something bad happened to him personally, people would have been on TV saying what a great guy he was and all the good memories. Now you got him convicted of murder, so everybody wants to turn their back. And I watched law enforcement officials step up and say, there were red flags all along. This wasn't a nice guy. Question to that law enforcement official. Who said, by the way, he was going to terminate him, but he quit first? If all these red flags were popping up, why the hell did you guys not do something sooner? More to the point, 4 different law agencies. In 4 different law agencies, are you telling me you guys never seen red flags? That this person, I think he was the sheriff of a small town, by the way, who said this. This guy was a stone cold douchebag. And I'm sorry to say that there are a lot of these type of law enforcement officials, especially in small towns. To work in a small town, you either got to live there and love it because you're not going to get paid much. You're power hungry, or you're running because you did something bad in another law enforcement jurisdiction. That's a fact, okay? So there has been instances of cops that have been in different counties in this state. They quit before they get fired. They go then become small town cops. Then they go work their way up and become cops in a bigger agencies, other places. That's not uncommon. But what I have to say to the cops out there who know, by the way, that there are a bunch of douchebags on law enforcement, why don't you guys start outing them? Now, let me get to the guy's escape. In Calico Rock, this is a prison that everybody white who didn't want drama wanted to go to when I was in the Arkansas Department of Corrections. Now, the place that was off the chain, this is in the 90s, early 90s, by the way, was Cummins. Cummins is the unit that you can do time in. Calico Rock was a soft joint. All the staff members up there were white. If you were black, you didn't want to be there. The black guys who got there immediately wanted to transfer out because their families did not want to go up in Calico Rock. On the cemetery up in Calico Rock, in the town, they still have Klansman symbols all over the cemetery, all over the tombstones. And prisoners were made to go clean those cemetery areas. So this is how it works in Arkansas for those of you that don't know. There's a class 1, 2, 3, 4. Class 1B, I think it was, can get a gate pass. So these guys actually work outside of the prison in the parking lots. Actually, a lot of the guys on Host Squad, actually, they have to be trusted. Go into the communities and help clean up the communities. They did back in the 90s. This prison was really laid back. At the time, it had 6 units. I was in 5 and 6. I was in the drug program. But these are correctional officers that live up there. Very much community-based correctional officers. I will tell you a story that when I got out of prison, There was a correctional officer that tripped me coming off the bus intentionally. I lived up in Calico. I lived in a place called Brockwell, which was outside of Calico. I went to work in a sawmill in Calico Rock in 1997-6 when I got released. And I saw that same correctional officer and nearly got in a fight with him in a sandwich shop. It was then the person I was married to, uncle, stopped it. But Bubbas, a lot of Bubbas up there, you know, a lot of tobacco chewing officers, some good guys. By the way, in the horse barn, the guys that worked in the horse barn, they have horses up there. The horses then go out on hoe squad. Hoe squad is like picking cotton from the fields, modern day slavery, if you will. The guys that work outside of the prison that fix tractors in the horse barn grew some really good marijuana up there, right on the premises, and all the staff knew. The staff that worked out there, great marijuana, real laid back prison. So if this guy was former law enforcement, probably snowballed the officials. I don't know yet. They say he had a correctional officer's uniform on. Of course, Calico Rock is denying that it was anybody that had to do with staff. All their uniforms were accounted for. Excuse me. They're not going to say if it was stolen anyway. Arkansas Department of Corrections has a lot of flaws. When I was in there, the food service administrator and the associate warden, or the warden, I forgot, opened up a catfish house. Arkansas was a self-sustaining prison, or is still. That means they grow everything that they feed the prisoners. Trust me, they do. And catfish in one of the prisons was being farmed, sent up to us. And instead of the prisoners getting the catfish, they were selling it in the communities. That's what you're talking about in the Arkansas Department of Corrections. Not a lot has changed. I remember looking up a bunch of civil cases for civil lawsuit reasons. Those prisons get sued so much. Again, the system has changed a lot since the 90s when I was there. I don't know how it is now. I do know they added on to the prison. But knowing the correctional officers that live up there, because I did live up there myself, I was going to say some names, but no, I will not at this time. I lived up there myself. Those correctional officers are clannish, and I don't mean in the sense of KKK. They're very clannish. There was a cop when I was there who had carte blanche of the place. I forgot he was doing 8 years for manslaughter. But the staff, because they considered him kind of like one of them, were cool with them. Now this guy, he did have an SO jacket on him. I will say he would be fine up at Calico Rock for a crime of not hurting children, but sexual assault against a female. He wouldn't have been touched. Wouldn't have been touched. Even former law enforcement up at that spot, no, he wouldn't have been touched. So just so you guys understand, I can bring a little perspective. I want to add this too. Cops in prison who are there for crimes always blow it. For example, the lifers used to get furloughs once a year. Arkansas, I think they still get furloughs, but the lifers got furloughs. You can have a life without sentence and go home once a year as long as it's approved by the warden and the sheriff of the county. Okay? So there was a cop in Fort Smith who came home and his wife and lover were in bed, and he unalived the wife. The boyfriend gets away. He goes to prison. I think he got 40 years or life. He's down. No, he had a life sentence. He's down in Arkansas. He gets a furlough. Goes home. Is at a bar drinking. Sees the boyfriend, goes out and unalives him too. That ended the furloughs for the lifers. So I wonder what this cop's going to screw up in Calico Rock. The heat's on because this is national media, right? So I want to tell the national media, the prison is rife with corruption. So this makes total sense. This makes so much sense. I can see how this guy got away, and it's been 100 years since I've been there. But I guarantee you that he snowballed the cops. And got out of there. This guy has a lot of connections to the area, by the way. So when they go to get him, I think it might be a problem. He is not going to want to go back down, especially since former law enforcement are saying what a douchebag he was and a violent person. He was the one that planted stuff on people. He was the guy that beat people up. He was that guy. And he got away when he goes to prison. So, escape in the news a lot lately. We've now got a former chief of police, total douchebag according to his peers, 2 peers that I saw, and a rapo, who's out on the loose in Arkansas. Before I end, I will end with this note. They are armed to the teeth up there. They are armed up there. So if that guy is just running freely, he's got big problems. And but I think he's got ties to the community. This was planned. He walked right out. He walked right out, right under their noses. And we'll do updates on that. I'll do updates on this. It is Monday night. I hope you guys had a good weekend. I was going to do a live, decided not to. A little tired. Had a long weekend. And yeah, thanks for supporting the channel.